welcome to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. We are riding the high. We've recently, I know it's been a couple weeks, but I am still just like over the moon with Double or Nothing. It was such a great show. And we are quickly gearing up and racing towards All In Texas, July 12th at Globe Life Field. It's going to be incredible. And I don't do this alone. I've got my podcast co-host, my BFF, Will Washington. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I am also, like I said, or like you said, we're just coming off of Double or Nothing. We're on the race to All In Texas. It's going to be an exciting time. But friends, don't forget that AEW Unrestricted is presented by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2025 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph, memorabilia, and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. I've got my pack. Yeah, it just fell.
ASMR.
Yeah.
Oh no. Don't drop the merchandise.
No. Mine just fell. I've got one right here though. Yep. Here we are. The new 2025 packs. And of course, who do we got here? I got some great ones here.
I pulled some great people in this deck. I've got, I actually pulled two different Claudio Castagnolis. One fancy regular, and then one special, what is this? A foundational outlook card, which is all kinds of wonderful shiny.
I've got myself actually, you know what? Two cards I just pulled are very apropos for this episode. Apropos. Because check this out. I've got Anna Jay. And I've also got Harley Cameron. And both, and this is a special Harley Cameron card too.
Hell yeah, look how shiny it is.
Yeah,
it's shiny, just like her personality.
yes. And I think it's very fitting that we pulled those cards.
It is fitting. By the way, Will, who is our guest today? I hear we have a special guest.
Well, Aubrey, we're actually joined by I'm not sure what title to present you with at this point. I mean, look, you are QT Marshall. We know QT Marshall, and we know you on screen in one persona, and then behind the scenes, we all know you in a very much bigger title. But how do you want to be presented to the AEW audience today?
Just the guy that wears a bunch of hats. That's good enough for me.
Yes.
Yeah. I've always felt that having a title just sets you up for failure more than anything, so.
Well, in this case, though, you've had a lot of success in professional wrestling in ways that people haven't seen. And I think that is kind of a testament to that mentality of just, wear the hats just as they come to you.
That's right. Yeah, just don't say no to anything, really. It's kind of, as long as you just keep saying yes and figure out a way to get it done, good things happen.
I really like that. I also like your stance on titles. I've always felt that titles are only important when you're looking for the next job. And if you're really enjoying the current job, it's then it actually doesn't matter. It's what do you do, and do you do it effectively? And are you a contributing member of this team? That's really all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, when you're looking for more money, they definitely want to know what kind of title they're going to give you. But as long as it comes with more money, I don't care what the title is. That's the way I love
the honesty. I love it. I love it. I want to start by talking about Full Gear 2024 because this was sort of my introduction to Big Boom AJ and Big Justice. And I know that you guys had a match on 0 Hour. You unfortunately lost. I'm sorry. But I know that there was some history between you guys, and I'm kind of curious how these conversations started.
Yeah, so I've known AJ since 2005 on my first independent show that I ever did. I kind of took his place. He was retiring, and he kind of anointed me as the guy that was going to, wave the American flag as he was the American power child there at Justice. And we always stayed in touch. We used the same meal prep company, Eat Clean Bro. We always stayed in touch. And then when AEW started, he reached out to me about my success, and we just always had conversations once in a while. Sanjay actually is the one that, showed me one of their videos and was like, hey, you think we could get this guy to come to All Out? So we made that happen. And then, of course, me being me, I was like, there's got to be a way. I know if I were him, former wrestler, now I'm getting a little bit of buzz. one of the things I'd love to do is get back in the ring, especially in front of a large audience and so on and so forth. But it wasn't that easy. He really didn't want to do it. I was like, I was kind of shocked, but he didn't want to do it. And we had to kind of convince him a little bit. And then I think he reached out to one of his friends. I think it was Blue Meanie or Supernova, one of those ECW originals. And I think they kind of got in his ear and just let him know that if he was going to be in the ring with me, it would definitely be taken care of and we'd be able to do something really special. And so we were able to, figure out all the details and make it work. And, selling Tony on the idea was a little hard at first because he had no idea what was going on and who these guys were. But I think having the idea that he was a wrestler before that, I think really helped out a lot. Because you got to be really careful when you integrate celebrities, right? We all saw what happens on sometimes when the celebrity integrations don't work out as well. But this was really fun. And I think everything lined up the right way, and being in New Jersey, his hometown, my hometown. It couldn't have went any better. I mean, I think they put it out on its own, and I think it almost has 1 million views just the match itself. A lot of them are probably mine. I go back and watch it. It's definitely, it's one of the highlights of my career. I think it's,
hell yeah.
When you get out there and you have that many people being that invested into every single thing that you do, you really get to soak in that moment. And, so I hope for him, it was very special. I know it's led to more stuff with AEW for him and his son and his family. And, I remember just beforehand, just letting them know, like, you'll be okay. This is definitely going to be something good for everybody. And I think it was. So, and it definitely helped out in New Jersey at Full Gear as well. That place was jam packed. So
that was one of the big things there, was that knowing how many wrestling fans weren't aware of his wrestling helped. I think there was a lot of people who didn't necessarily know what he was going to bring to the table. And that kind of led to a lot of, I want to say, skepticism around it. And so the moment the match got underway, you could kind of see how much the fans were getting invested in it. And, it's well known now that he had the foot injury going into it. And that was talk to me about, working around that and how, the fact that he was so committed to still getting it done.
I mean, so committed to the point where, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. I'm laying on the ground. I'm telling him, you don't have to go to the top rope. And he's like, I got to do it. And I was like, okay, man.
Yes.
I think earlier he was in the ring. I was obviously doing some of my backstage duties, getting ready for the pay-per-view and so on and so forth. And I guess he must have done something. He wasn't wearing the right foot shoes or something like that. I don't know. He's always walking around in those cane shoes or whatever they're called. They look like Crocs. And I think he jumped off the top rope and it just didn't go his way. But he didn't really say anything. He tried to play it off. He definitely didn't tell Mama Justice. I know that. And he just kept his boot on he put his boot on. He just kept it on all day. And he's a real trooper. I mean, he is a true professional wrestler to every sense of the word. So, we didn't really change much. I just kind of let him know, like, hey, I'm just going to not make you really move around too much just because we got to get through it and stuff. But I think he would have done anything we needed him to do. There was nothing stopping him that night. And I think, like I said, it was just probably one of the most special things that, I've been a part of, especially in AEW, especially considering what AEW is and what it stands for. I think showing, the locker room, but also showing, our fans that, hey, we can have a little bit of everything and it all works out in the end.
It was really great, like seeing, because I knew nothing about Big Boom AJ or Big Justice because I'm chronically not online. So like seeing these guys, I'm like, what's with this Costco cookie thing? And then wait, these guys are on the show. What's happening? And seeing just the respect that he gave to the business. I even thanked him in New Jersey. I was like, dude, thank you so much for being such a huge advocate for us. Like mentioning us by name on Jimmy Fallon was insane. And I love that. Like your explanation of the whole foot broken thing makes total sense because you are one of the safest people in the ring, like historically that I've ever worked with. So it's like, of course, like he's going to be well taken care of. No one had any idea until after the match that it was like, oh, yep, this kind of was bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think what really did help was that we didn't put him on TV until the week of, right? That Dynamite. And then we did the Rampage, big ups to Rampage. But we did the weigh-in on Rampage, and I think that was part of it, was like, hey, we're going to build this whole thing on social media and just see if it works and just use it as guinea pigs for what we could do in the future and stuff like that. And then also, again, not overexposing him to our audience to the point where they're getting sick and tired of it. And I think we've done a really great job. Tony obviously is very cognizant of that, and he's very good about those things. And I think it was, again, for me, a much easier sell when I say we don't have to take up TV time. So that's always the best way to go. We can get on there in short bursts, and again, when I came back to AEW in the beginning of 2024, that was always what we talked about. Like, I wasn't going to worry about being in the ring. It was just going to be more backstage. But this was an opportunity that, one, obviously would have, set me up for something good, but also it was just good all around for the company. And of course, I honestly don't think there's any other character on the show that probably could have got away with it. And especially like what we did in the match and so on and so forth, but also still have a little bit of credibility to the point where, I'm looked at as a threat as well. So it's just, again, right place, right time, and being able to get everyone on board. And like I said, it's just one of the highlights of my career for sure.
I love
Hell
it.
yeah.
And having my kids be able to explain it to me exactly what was all going on. And of course, the first thing they asked me was, are we going to see the Rizzler? And then we got to deliver that. And that also, that felt like such a big deal.
Well, my whole family's in New Jersey for the most part, and they all came to the show, and that's all they said. Can we meet Big Boom and the Rizzler? And I'm thinking, like, what about me? They didn't care to see me at all. They just wanted to, literally, I mean, there was a point where my aunt I wanted to kick her out because she was just so adamant about seeing Big Justice and the Rizzler. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, we'll figure it out, And then they were able to do it, and he was obviously great. And they're huge people. So I don't think they ever say no to anybody. So it just worked out, like I said, for the best for everybody.
It's okay. My mom prefers to see Takesha at shows over me, so
yeah, I understand.
Well, one of the things you just kind of casually mentioned was the fact that you had taken some time, left AEW back at the end of 2023, and then returned at the beginning of 2024. What was that time off like for you, and how did that kind of help you, kind of figure out what was next for you in AEW?
Yeah, I think, you just get burnt out, and it's just one of those things. And then on top of that, I'm not just an office employee, right? Like, obviously I'm a wrestler first, and I just happened to fall into an office role that led me to a lot of success. But you're always going to be a wrestler until the doctor tells you can never do it again. And you see that with a lot of guys that continue up until their 50s and 60s, right? I'm not even 40 yet. So, it was just one of those things. I was just burnt out, and I didn't like where I was going, the direction I was going, and how I was feeling, and just a lot of stuff. And, obviously I probably could have just taken a break. Now that I know that, that's probably what I will end up doing, but I'm not one of those people. I just kind of keep everything all bottled up inside, and then it explodes. It exploded. I just had a talk, and it was like, hey, this is probably best for me. And it was. I mean, by the time I left, my blood pressure was pretty high. I was pretty stressed. And then the month later, I was like in perfect health. I mean, I was down like 20 pounds, It was definitely the best thing I needed. And again, it was just one of those things that, like, I'm one of those people that you just have to rip the Band-Aid off. I can't just sit around and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's like, no. And for better or worse, fortunately, it was for the better. I mean, I looked elsewhere and stuff like that, and there were opportunities, but, I didn't even give it a real chance. I think my contract was up January 1st, and I believe I was with Tony eating dinner on like the 6th. You know what I mean? So it was, I mean, it wasn't one of those things where it was like, hey, I'm going to leave because I'm going elsewhere. It was like, yeah, of course I'm going to go look elsewhere and see what else is out there, because I feel like you just have to do that anyway. But it was more or less like, hey, we just got to figure out what's best for both of us and what's best for the company. And I think when we sat down and ate dinner, it was pretty easy. It was like, hey, when you come back, what are you looking to do? I was like, I'm just looking to work, and just work backstage. And if there's something that you need me for in the ring, I can always wrestle. But I do understand, especially with, the amount of talent that's coming in, and on high level talent at the time, right? With Mercedes and Okada and Ospreay, it was one of those things of like, hey, it's probably just best show up with a backpack, help me out backstage, and then we'll see what else happens. So it was a no-brainer for me. And then especially the fact that I didn't have to start working right away, just because there was so much when somebody leaves, there's always all these rumors and of why they left and what happened. And, oh, maybe it was better that they left because like Jimmy Jacobs, poor guy, he left and it was like people just started saying, oh, he doesn't know who Okada is. And it's like, what? He didn't even do anything creative wise. You know what I mean? It's just, but again, those are the fans and that's what they're going to think. Right. So, and again, we don't have to defend ourselves. So I think a lot of it of me coming back and kind of just slowly easing my way back in and then just seeing what happened. And I think we're at a good place right now that I think the shows are doing really well. I think we have a really good system between myself and Sanjay and Tony. I think it's just something that's going really well. And like I said, it's probably for the best, and then I don't have to focus on wrestling. I can, if he needs me to do something, of course, I'm always there. But for the most part, like, I get to wrestle anywhere else, right? I was just in Canada Saturday night wrestling for Scott D'Amore Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and that's a lot of fun. I don't have to bring a computer. I get to just show up like a regular talent, worry about what I have to do in the ring, and then that's it. So, I think it's all about finding balance for everything and everybody and just making sure that we're just honest with each other and, being upfront about everything because, again, you're going to get burnt out. I mean, this job never stops. It never stops. So, you just got to be upfront about it and let everyone know before you do what I did and just kind of, just rip the Band-Aid off. But also, like I said, I think it was the best thing that needed to be done. And I think a lot of opportunities and conversations came out of it that were probably best for everybody. So I couldn't be any happier. I mean, of course, it's still stressful dealing with all the people that we deal with and talent and, everyone wants to be world champion and just, unfortunately, there's only one, right? So it's very difficult, but being a talent first, I can kind of understand where everybody's coming from. And as long as, there's those conversations and as long as people know that, we care about them and, we value them as talent, right? Because they are literally the backbone of how we get paid, right? If it's not for the talent, none of us have jobs. I don't care what anybody says. Like it's them putting their lives on the line for us. So I always think about that. The first time I hear anything is like, hey, backstage employee X, understand that without them, we don't have a gig. So, and I think being able to be that bridge between, them and Tony or them and anyone else creatively, I think it just helps out because I can see both sides, but also, we have to do what's best for the company. And I think being one of the most honest people in the company, I think goes a long way as well. Because you gain the trust of everybody and then they're willing to be honest with you and they're willing to be more upfront. So I think we have, like I said, we have a really good system. We're doing really well right now. And, fingers crossed, it just keeps on going.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. This is such a great conversation and there's so much more to talk about, but we got to take a quick break here on AEW Unrestricted. Stay tuned with our interview with QT Marshall.
AEW Unrestricted. It's Aubrey and Will with QT Marshall. QT, we were just talking about your return to AEW. And, one of the first things I think everybody noticed upon your return to AEW is this guy is shredded. This guy is in incredible shape right now. And that was because you entered a bodybuilding competition last year.
This is true. Yeah. I mean, what happened was I was getting in really good shape because I was working a lot of wrestling independent shows and stuff like that. I wasn't traveling, which helps so much. I was only traveling on the weekend. And that's kind of when you could kind of be a little more lenient with the diet. And then out of nowhere, I said I was going to do this bodybuilding show. And I was half kidding, but I did sign up for it. That was in February. And then Billy Gunn, who was my training partner at the time,
I was going to ask, is this Billy's fault?
Yeah, he held me to it. And it was like, I had some other stuff going on in my personal life that I was like, oh, I don't think I could do it right now, and yada, yada, yada. And he was like, no excuses. I was like, okay. And, when someone like that tells you there's no excuse and you have to do it, you kind of got to do it. So, but I'll never do it again, I don't believe. But it was just one of those things I wanted to do to just kind of, just give it a shot. And fortunately, I was in the, novice competition where it was just people that have never been on stage before, and I was able to win. So that was kind of cool too. But yeah, it was just, like I said, it was just one of those things I kind of threw out there and signed up for. And like, Billy kind of held me to it, but obviously I had a lot of support. My wife helped me out a lot and Billy with the training and just, I had a coach as well. So it was just a lot of people all, helped me out. And like I said, it was just pretty cool to be out there and, and especially get the medal,
Hey, and I mean, if you've got the medal, you might as well retire because now you're undefeated.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Retire on top. You know what I mean?
There you
Also,
go.
they ended up making me like do another one as well in that night. And those guys killed me. They killed me. I
We
had
can
no
edit this
business
part out.
being on
That's fine.
stage.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
no business being out there with those guys. I mean, I was just joking with. I was like, man, this is terrible. You know what it was more than anything? I gave me a whole new respect for what they go through. Um, I was again just doing it for fun, but it almost made me feel like when I would go do an independent show and there was a guy in the locker room that really didn't want to be there, but he was kind of just there taking up a spot. That's kind of how I felt that I was, but at the same time, I did pay to be there, so I think that helps out a lot. I tried to spend as much money as I could with the company and buy the best package when it came to the photos and videos, because they all had explained how all that stuff helps them, be able to put on those shows and stuff like that. So I think next year I'll just be a sponsor. Maybe I'll just sponsor them. I don't think I'll go through all the pain and torture of dieting like that.
Then you could just ride that high and it's great.
So,
you don't have to actually put your body through all the miserableness of preparing for a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah, I mean, I wrestled on a match in Canada that week against one of my students up in Calgary that we never aired it. It was just kind of for him and his family and stuff. And every single bump hurt. I mean, I was depleted. I mean, I looked great in photos, but man, getting around and like getting bumped around and stuff is, what, now I'm at more of a healthier weight. I'm a little too healthy, but now I got to focus a little bit more on getting a little leaner. But
well, you're back on the road again, so there's the excuse.
Man. Yeah, it is. It's an excuse, and it's something that I will definitely use as an excuse. But I put 3 pictures together of like 2023, 2024 not working at AEW, and 2025 working at AEW, and
oh no,
the stress is real. But catering does have grilled chicken, asparagus and plain rice, but they also have cookies.
Oh, yeah. The cookies and the little cereal marshmallow bars that are vegan.
Yeah.
Peanut butter brownies.
Candy. Yeah. Oh my God. It's difficult. Anybody who's able to like maintain a good diet through a show day, like more power to them, because there are so many tempting things that just get you off track. Oh my God. So your success at AEW is like uncomparable to anybody else's, just because I know you came in as, an office worker, but sort of more like an assistant role. And now you're one of the most important people at the companies. So, well, that's how I view it. And most of my interactions with you are what Will tells me. So he's doing a great job promoting what it is you do.
Yeah. I really don't know what I do, except, like I said, I just try to do everything. I mean, we actually had a call where they asked us like to write down what we do. I was like, I can't explain it. I could just follow me for a day, I guess, and just kind of see. But
you're a facilitator.
It was just, I mean, luckily fortunately before, I found success in AEW, I worked in restaurants and stuff like that. And we had to open restaurants, and just knowing how something new, there's a lot of people that don't know what to do. They don't know who to go to. There aren't all these, things in place. I kind of knew right out the gate, like this was just a foot in the door, right? We talk about being an assistant, and, I obviously was brought in by Cody, but I was also brought in by Cody to be the assistant to all the EVPs. So once I realized I was going to do that for them, it was like, well, I'm just going to do that for everybody, right? And then Jericho and I was just the guy to fall back on, and like, hey, you're the guy I'm going to call because I don't really know who else to go to, right? And then when the pandemic hit, Tony was like, hey, let's start working on these shows and da-da-da-da. And I think the biggest thing that helped me, honestly, was that we were able to shoot Dynamite out of my school at the time, because obviously that helped the company. And I think there was a trust that was formed with myself and Tony that, again, I'm a long game kind of guy where, I always joke about, well, I work so hard so that way when I do ask for something, you can't really say no to a guy like me. And I try to keep what I ask for very, very, very few and far between, because they're going to be big things. They're going to be life-changing things. I'm not going to ask for simple things. It's going to be like, hey, I want to main event the 0 hour of a pay-per-view in front of 10,000 people, right? And it's like, oh, and you can't say no, right? Because look at all the other things I've done. So unfortunately, I've never had to use that, but that's always been my mentality. And it seems to be working. But yeah, I think just overall, just seeing everyone and I'm not saying that other people don't work as well, but it's like a lot of people in the world will do what they're asked to do. And that's kind of the way a lot of people look at life. And it's when it comes to their jobs, like, this is my job. I check in, I clock in, then I clock out. I try to do that. I'm not good at it at all. I think it's just 24/7. This is just who I am. This is what I do. But hopefully I'll be able to relax at some point. But yeah, it's just, I think when you really look back on it, to start, not just in position wise, but compensation wise, compared to where I went to where I am now, is like, when the new book is written about AEW, and we put my story in there, my little story, I think people will just be amazed to see that, yeah, just a little bit of hard work. And like I said, the biggest thing, not doing what I'm doing today. I've tried to be really careful about, interviews and stuff like that, where I tout what I do. Again, it's because it's not about me, but at the end of the day, of course, someone has to do the things. But I think it's just so much easier if you kind of just lay low and work hard, and then no one's really gunning for you, because there are a lot of people that'll gun for everybody. It just is what it is. I've always felt that you don't have to do that. You just kind of work hard and don't worry about anybody else, and everything will happen. And then, like I said, also in this industry, we kind of know what the industry is out there in front of the people, right? It's kind of a lie. A lot of the stuff that we do is a big lie out there. So I've always just been the one that's been taught, just be honest backstage, right? No matter what it is, even if it's you asking for something that you know that you're probably not going to get, but you feel very strongly about it, just ask for it. The worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to say no. And, that's kind of how I've tried to live. And it seems to be working out somewhat, minus, a couple months here and there. Some stressful days, but yeah, pretty good for me.
No, I honestly, I know you don't want to necessarily give yourself a whole lot of credit, but I will say you're the featured guest on this podcast. This is the time to give you the credit. And I will say that genuinely, there's nobody who's given me more guidance in AEW, especially with any missteps that I could have possibly made. There's nobody who's given me more guidance than you. So, genuinely, I really appreciate just having you in AEW.
No. Yeah, I mean,
he's also not blowing smoke up your ass, because he's told me that not on camera, by the way. So
I have.
But that's the other thing, right? Like, you came into this industry from a different industry, and you weren't taught all the stuff that, like, most schools don't even teach it anyway, because they don't know, because most of the trainers never have done it anyway. Like, I've been fortunate to sit under the learning tree through guys like Chris Jericho, Cody, Billy Gunn, all these guys that have made real money and done real things, and Taz as well. So it's like, it's not something that I know just because I know it. It's because I've been taught these things, and if I'm able to teach you and it helps you and it keeps you being successful, like, at the end of the day, I've always said this, you're not going to take my job, right? Like, and as long as you're not going to take my job, hey, why not help you? Why not help you grow and become the best that you could possibly be? Because why? Because you have the same dream to work in the same industry as me. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's a great thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. DDP style,
There we go. Hey, well, speaking of which, one of the things I wanted to ask you, we've talked a lot about your work behind the scenes, but you're still continuing to wrestle. And, obviously that still remains important to you. How important to you is it that you continue to wrestle at this stage?
Oh, I need it. Right. Like, it's just something, we have our own show down here that I run with a lot of the students that have gone through camps and stuff like that. We run every weekend, and I'm always wrestling. I just feel like if it wasn't wrestling, it would probably be softball, something like that. I just need something to kind of, keep that going. And now I don't have the school anymore. So it's like, I can coach now at the shows. Now these kids can get in front of, like, the real fans, and I can help them out that way. But also, yeah, just for me, it's not an ego thing. Like, I just genuinely want to be out there and do stuff. If I wasn't so busy at work, I'd probably be doing a non-televised match at the end of the night to try to send the people home happier. If maybe we end the show on a down note or something like that. But yeah, it's just something I really love to do, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do it. And I don't know how long I'll be able to do it. So it's like, I don't want to not be, I don't want to not do it and then regret not doing it. Right. So, it's just one. Also, if you don't do it for a while and then you have to do it, it hurts a lot worse. So it's one of those things like not doing legs. And then all of a sudden you do legs and you're like, oh, why? I'm never doing that again. Right? You just got to keep it going. And, it also keeps your mind sharp. And it's just something, like I said, it's just one of those things that, I can get out there and I don't have to put stress on myself. And, at the end of the day, it's just little local shows that no one's really writing reports about and putting them on Cage Match and stuff like that. But I can keep myself sharp for something like, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling or something like that, where I'm going to get a little bit of exposure because, again, going back to the AJ match, right? Like that is, sorry to use this, but like it's a high that you really want to get all the time, right? And you're not going to, no matter what you're doing. You could be the top guy in the company. There's going to be some downtime. So it's just trying to get that fix of whatever gets you going. And for me, it's pro wrestling. It's always been since I was 8 years old.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Another quick break and then we're back talking more with QT Marshall here on AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted. We've got Aubrey and Will, and we're talking to QT Marshall here at AEW Unrestricted. And I'm so excited. This conversation has been just like so many like different forms of inspirational. And I feel like I'm going to like cut up little clips of it and send it to my friends outside of the industry because much of it applies to literally everything. Just literally put your head down, work hard, like be loyal, and things will happen if you've done good work. And that's like the QT Marshall story for lack of a better name, right? Like, yeah. Oh my God. And to see like you've given back to other people and given opportunities to other people at AEW has been really, really awesome to see as well. And I know one of the people that's now like on a friggin' rocket ship is Harley Cameron, who I think Will pulled a card from our amazing sponsor.
I did. There's the 2025 Upper Deck. Ooh. Oh, look at that. Right up front.
Hey, look at that.
Who and only Harley Cameron is watching on the video version.
Hey. Yeah. So she obviously came in with QTV. How did that whole thing happen? How did you come up with the idea, pitching it, picking the other wrestlers for the faction? Tell us a little backstory.
Man, I wish I could take credit for it. One night at about 3 a.m, we were working on a show and Tony had this idea. He said, have you ever seen the movie Pop Star? I said, no, because I hadn't. And he kind of mentioned this like TMZ spoof and, he just had an idea and the whole entire thing was going to be propaganda for Powerhouse Hobbs. That was the whole idea, right? Mm-hmm. We were just going to crap on everyone else. And then eventually you would find out that it was all about Hobbs. That didn't happen just because, situations arose and we were able to make it go a lot faster, like a lot of stuff here. But one of the things that was important was, hey, maybe we could have a female in the group. We had the factory, it was all males and stuff. Is there a female that we could put in there? And then I had seen her on Instagram, and I knew that she could sing and she could do a lot of stuff. I never realized all the stuff that she could do, right? I didn't realize how talented she was. But within one conversation with her on the phone, I could just see she was hungry for any type of opportunity. So, again, there was a lot of hate on the QTV stuff. But if you notice, a lot of the stuff was her getting her stuff in, Solo getting his stuff in, right, with the Banaka. And just, I knew it wasn't about me, right? And I'm okay with that as long as there's something that I get out of it, right? And to me, it was like, hey, this is what the deal is. Okay, this is my job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And then she's just been, probably like the best example of somebody, again, just come in, work hard, keep your mouth shut, listen, never say no, right? Even when they started giving her like singles opportunities, it was, I remember she came to me and like, hey, what do you think? And I'm like, just get on TV. Just get on TV. The more you're on TV, the more you're going to get over with the audience, especially because you're entertaining. You bring a lot to the table. Like that's different as well. Just be on TV as much as you possibly can. And to get to see her wrestle Mercedes in her, in her hometown in Australia, it's crazy because she was, she wasn't even going to wrestle. It was just she was going to be this secretary, and so it was a journalist, right? It's pretty cool to see. She's another example of like exactly what you said, right? Just work hard and just have fun. And again, don't be a pain to deal with. That's the other thing too. Just like, unfortunately, this job is something that is subjective. And it's like, if you're going to be a jerk about stuff, like, well, just use somebody else. It is what it is. We can make anything work. That's the beauty of it. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that. And I think it backfires on them. Whereas with Harley, it was a complete opposite. So I'm so happy to see like everything that she's been doing, and the idea that she's positioned herself as one of our, featured acts, right? Like, I think she's the spokesperson for iDrink now, which is another sponsor that we have. And just, of course, I love the fact that she could sing and do the ventriloquism. It's like, that's just cool to me, Anything.
She also speaks Chinese. Like, she's wild.
Yeah. And like I said, more than anything, she's a great person and a cool person that you can kind of you want to kind of be around her, it's not one of those. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm just very happy for her success. But yeah, I think I'm at the point in my career where, again, my job is kind of solidified. So help out as many people as you can. What's the worst that's going to happen? I know obviously Tony's going to spend a lot of money, but other than that, I mean, like, again, if you see somebody that you feel that could help, or they just need a break, why not give them that break? It's not as fulfilling as getting out there yourself, but it's pretty good to watch somebody that you've kind of put your, put some stock into of your own and seeing them succeed.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's genuinely great that she's able to use AEW as a platform, not just for showcasing like everything that we knew she could do, but everything we didn't know she could do. And like the way that, of course, like everybody finding out, wait, you're a ventriloquist, we have to get that on screen. Or like, oh my God, like you sing as well as you do, that has to be on screen. And literally just the way she's been able to bring it all together to become this all around, just this full on performer that got over organically. It's like everything that she does and the way that it's all integrated into her character, all of it happened because the fans wanted to see more of it. And that, I think, is the best thing you can ask for in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I will say this. I feel like she should probably teach everybody how to be a ventriloquist, because in professional wrestling, that can help out a lot. When you're in the ring and you're trying to communicate, Aubrey, right? Like, you got to communicate something to one of the talents. And
the amount of times I've learned how to speak through my teeth.
yeah, I was going to say, being able to do it without,
5 seconds left.
Yeah, it's great. It just always looks like we're smiling all the time, But yeah, like I said, I told her she should be teaching everyone how to do that stuff, but only when they're in the ring, not with the puppets. That's her deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Ricochet and being bald, right? Like, that is, yeah.
He's really the only one that can pull it off. Forget all of the other people at the company that are bald. It's really just he's the only one. I do want to talk, and conveniently you wore an All In shirt to this podcast. Yeah, let's segue. So we're doing All In this year in Texas. We've done it at Wembley Stadium the last 2 years. How crazy has it been to see the growth at AEW from, the little t-shirt store that it used to be, or like, I guess people refer to it.
T-shirt company, is that what they say?
There you go.
I think it's just incredible, right? I mean, this idea of how it all started and then what it's become. And, I think trying to always just keep that in the back of our mind of who we are, right? We are, no matter what anyone thinks or what anyone says, at the end of the day, we are and probably will always be the challenger brand. And I think that's why a lot of people want to support us. And there are times when, of course, we're going to get our fair share of negativity from the outsiders and stuff like that. But we just got to not worry about that and just focus on what keeps us us. And I think that's what helps us continue to grow. I think Texas is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be, when you think like, hey, we're going to hold a stadium show, I don't really think Texas is the place that you kind of think right out the gate, just because it's never really been, for us at least, right? I think we're going to be doing all right. I think now having StarCast announced and Ring of Honor pay-per-view announced, it's kind of become more of a destination to kind of go to and stuff like that. So I do, for all the fans listening, I just know what we do. And, I think we're going to pull out an incredible week of shows, but especially the stadium show. No matter what happens that day and how many other people try to counter program what we're doing, I think it's going to be exciting, and we're going to have some really good stuff. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a long week, but hopefully a very fulfilling one as well.
I mean, you couldn't ask for more. Like when you think about how much of, like you said, a destination week it's about to be, and the fact that we've really never done anything like this as far as a full-on week inside one major city. And, we're going to have people traveling from all over the world to get to see, like you said, StarCast. We're going to have Dynamite. We're going to have Collision. We've got the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. We've got All In. Like, it's going to be such an amazing opportunity to get to see AEW in a way that you've never seen AEW presented before. And again, like I said, to see that from the beginning, and both of you two have been here from the beginning. So like, to me, it's just such a cool thing to watch how much it's grown and to see it in that amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, right. We're I don't know when this will air, but this week, we're going back to, Schaumburg, right. To the Sears Center, which is now the Now Arena. And,
right.
I mean,
it'll always be the Sears Center in here.
Yeah. The original All In where, some guy took a bet and him and his friends put on a show that was incredible, and it just led to this. So, I think always, whenever you get jaded, you always got to look back and just realize, man, what we're doing is pretty special, right? Because you will get jaded. That's just the way it works. But yeah, the idea of what we're able to produce every single week, no off season, and our boss juggling a bunch of other things as well. I think it's just wild. I think, like you said, if we peel back the curtain and let people see exactly what we do, it's pretty crazy to be able to do what we've done in such a short time and just surpass WCW, Monday Nitro. Like these things are not something that probably should have happened, but luckily we have a great support, with our partners over at Warner Brothers Discovery and stuff like that. So it's just really cool to see.
It's really, really cool. And this conversation was absolutely incredible. And I can't thank you enough for being here today.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem at all. Maybe we'll do it again sometime soon.
Hell yes.
Thank you, QT. Thank you for being a part of AEW Unrestricted. And you can follow QT Marshall on Instagram or X at QT Marshall. Or on Instagram, it's real QT Marshall. So thank you, QT, for being here. And of course, AEW Unrestricted is sponsored in part by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2025, Upper Deck AEW, and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autographed memorabilia and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. You can listen to and follow this podcast, AEW Unrestricted, at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And check out video episodes on our YouTube channel. It's at AEW Unrestricted. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And are you an AEW insider? Get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today at AEWTIX.com. And don't forget, AEW Dynamite, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and streaming on Max and TBS, and AEW Collision, live every Saturday on TNT and also streaming on Max. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. She's Aubrey Edwards. I'm Will Washington. That was QT Marshall. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.